And a warm welcome, my friends. Thank you for joining us here for today's live session. And there is a lot we'd like to talk about today. But let's start by allowing our presence to do all the talking, by taking that deep breath. And simply feel the presence of your soul. It's sharing a deep and profound love for your human self. Take another deep breath. Give yourself permission to step out of your story, to step out of whatever you're doing that's distracting you from just feeling the beauty, the magnificence of who you are as a soul being right now. It's here. You're here. Waiting to be allowed to be in your physical body with you full time, in service to its own joy by serving your human self too. And another deep breath. Because it's been a long, long time that all of us have waited for this opportunity as a human being to experience the presence of our soul in this way, in a way that allows us to be conscious of what we're creating. If you've been following our service, you already know how we feel about our being part, how it can easily get compromised inside all the noise, both within us and all around us. You also know this is why Earth was created, as a place to reconnect with that part of us as the doing part started to get ahead of what creates life, consciousness itself. So let's start today's session by taking a small peek at what is on the horizon, as that relates to your own mastery. All of you can feel right now something is new. Something is emerging inside of you, stepping forward. Something that your heart has yearned to experience for a very long time. So as we peek into some of the potentials, the integration of your soul is also taking a leap. A huge leap, in a way an unexpected leap. But the potentials are revealing themselves to all of you. You can literally feel yourself moving into a more elevated, a more quasi-physical human soul experience. It's beautiful, is it not? And as well, very challenging for the human self. But you now have all the tools you need to make this transition as graceful as possible. So as you elevate, your light will shine even brighter. That's the part that feels good. But of course, it also exposes those areas in your life that are out of balance, exposing things within the collective consciousness, the very systems that have been supporting the human family for a very long time. You could always feel something lurking in the background of those very systems, but now they reveal themselves. But the greatest distraction has everything to do with life off of this planet. Disclosure, of course, being the key word here. It's not so much about government conspiracies as it is with those that you call ETs. If the family of humanity is looking for transparency as to what to believe in relationship to ETs, it's very unlikely you'll find it from those that introduce themselves to the human species, if that indeed does happen. So we'll say it again and again. There is no greater being in all of creation than the human being. And when you reclaim your own identity as a soul being, you will clearly see what your relationship is to the rest of creation. The fact that you are here on earth and so many other beings are not, that should tell you all you need to know about who is guiding whom, who is serving what. So there are many species who have depended on the energy from human emotions to help support their own reality. Their arrival is not based on wanting to help support the human family. It's more about wanting to reestablish their connection to stealing energy, to the human energy field. And so many of you are now reclaiming your own sovereignty as this is happening. For the longest time, energy has been the key word. Where to get it, how to extract it. But your light is changing all of that by offering an invitation to anyone who wants to experience a soul-filled life, where your own energy is now supporting you, is enough. And because there are so many of you that have embraced that very change, and millions of others just waking up, my relationship as a soul being with Michael has also changed. It was always meant to reveal and then to share my own sovereign presence as a soul being. That became more evident when Michael invited me over 14 years ago to stop acting as a conscious channel for him. In essence, to stop serving him and allow him to serve me as a soul being. So during this time, how we have shared our presence became more, let's just say, free-flowing. And over the last few years, we've been quietly changing our format, inserting more of my own presence. It allows my interactions with so many of you in our workshops, in our courses and private sessions, to be more direct, to go even deeper, all in service to an embodied human soul relationship. Now, that doesn't mean Michael's leaving Ancient Wings. His presence will always be here. In fact, it feels more present than ever before. You can feel it right now as we speak. Take a deep breath and just tune into the energy here today. Very good. Very good. But it's my soul that is allowing the wisdom of our relationship to become embodied. And that's really, really important for all of us to understand. I know that initially most of you were drawn to our work based on your own past history with the Archangel Michael. But like all archangels, their service at this time has also changed over the last few years, dramatically changed. In part because our soul is now willing, inside this human experience, to perceive life as a reflection of its own divine nature. Without that, the archangels play the role of a very clear mirror to remind us that what we see and feel inside of them is also inside of us. So, speaking for Robert and Kethra, my soul, and Michael, my oversoul, and of course my partner and best friend, Coca, thank you for joining us. Together, we look forward to bringing Ancient Wings even closer to that still point that exists deep inside of each and every one of you. We come together like this to share our own insights and several adventures. It represents a relationship that is available to anyone. It's actually the birthright of your human self to coexist with your soul. You don't have to do anything to earn it, but you do need to allow it, for that part of you to be present. But for that to be real, we also need to acknowledge some, pretty awkward stuff. All of us inherited a lot of programming that denies you your freedom on a daily basis. It doesn't just go away. It needs to be transcended. So like us, we serve those that aren't willing to go through life without experiencing their soul's presence inside this physical form, this physical body. But that choice doesn't represent an easier path in your life. Staying on this planet as a sensitive human being, it's not an easy thing to do. Just ask all those ascended masters that ascended. Staying here and allowing your soul to be more present ends up becoming more of a quasi-physical relationship that takes a while to get used to. Looking through the eyes of your soul, you'll notice there's a shimmer of light around everything. Everything. But there are also days when the connection to your soul feels a little fragile, feels like a weak Wi-Fi signal. It starts to flicker. And during those times, maybe a past lifetime has surfaced, or maybe the physical body needs a little time to integrate all the changes. So with the help and guidance that I've received from the presence of Michael, I've learned that there is nothing more important in my life than to stay connected to my own energy. I learned to just stop if the connection doesn't feel stable. And let's start right there. Just stop. Stop doing, stop thinking, and start feeling the connection to your soul in a more conscious way. Perhaps by using your breath, with every time you breathe in, you feel more deeply connected to your soul. But the important thing here to remember is to just stop. Start to feel and allow your soul to be here with you. And then take a few deep breaths and allow your light to come forward from your soul. Speaking for me, if I'm feeling some disturbing elements from other parts of me, I don't ignore them by going mental. I acknowledge them, and then I accept them. That might be the hardest part, but that offers a degree of love that those other parts that feel a little awkward, they've never felt such a love, total acceptance of their presence. And then I offer my light as a soul being only can to help transform what isn't connected to that very light. What is being offered through me doesn't come with an agenda. I don't demand that whatever feels uncomfortable to get its act together, or else. It's not like I look forward to meeting yet another unintegrated version of myself. But if I don't react to the energy itself, the trust I'm building with those parts just keeps going deeper, keeps growing, keeps expanding, becomes more solid. But if you become addicted to the quick fix approach to this life here on earth, then this whole process can be really, really frustrating. So yes, I know too that the earth is splitting into other versions of itself. And that is really good news because it then provides more choices, alternative choices. In a way, that's why we're here. It's about time on so many levels, right? As more and more layers of our own life appear before us. We shared this in our last iSpirit course, inviting some really brave people to experience their being self inside their stillness. So as the earth experience becomes more elevated and splits into other versions of itself, there's no hierarchy here. One version isn't better than the other. Instead, there are choices, like themes of what you would like to experience. Some are more focused on the arts, some on science, some on nature, and a lot on AIs. So what's the advantage? On these other versions, your adventure won't be disrupted, finally, by power games. That's new. That's really new. The dream has always been in your heart, but now it begins to take form. I also know there are potentials of humanity creating some very dark versions of AI. But all that is required from any of us to ensure that that doesn't happen is to keep sharing our light. It's our light that reveals more choices. So let yourself feel what is being shared right now. And just breathe with it. A part of it is very dynamic, filled with passion and fire. Another part is very serene, very still, very, very quiet, is very good at listening. These two parts inside of you, the being and doing parts, you're now allowing them to dance together when they've been separated for eons. It's why, in a way, Earth was created, so that these two vital parts of who we are could come together, become integrated. So let yourself feel what's coming up, because it'd be natural to feel when they've been separated some of the other energies that didn't feel so good because you were feeling separated. But what's coming down the pipeline right now, you don't want to miss this. This is what we've been waiting for as heart-centered soul beings, the opportunity to experience our sovereignty as a creator in the joy of creating from our own heart, joined by others doing the same. If there's bumps in the roads, we don't have to hurt somebody or push against anybody. We listen to their version and we accept it. We coexist, not because we have to, because we want to. We like each other. Take another deep breath. Because what you're feeling is the presence of a lot of fully awakened beings on this planet, some of which are enjoying watching and sharing their light during these live streams that we offer. But there's also something new. If you're new to our work, you can feel it. We can feel it. It's your own soul. That too is here, curious, wondering. waiting for your human self to allow it to step forward, to allow it to experience life as a human being, and to allow it, as we are doing, to speak. Like your soul needs your permission, human self, to speak, that should show you the degree of love it has for you. It's not going to twist your arm for the opportunity to speak for itself. It's going to invite you, human self, to allow it. It's such a beautiful new dance. You don't want to miss this. This is why you came here. Waiting for your human self to allow it to step forward inside of a new and pretty rare type of relationship. And because it's so rare, you're going to need a little support. That's the part that we and others like ourselves play. And one of the ways you can experience more support is just by hanging out more with some of your awakened friends, or by joining our private online community. But don't try to take this massive shift in your own consciousness. Don't try to take this on by yourself. This isn't the time to human up. Your human identity is under a lot of pressure. It has relied on the human mind for guidance and support for the longest time. But the mind can only go so far before it starts to react out of fear. And there are a lot of reasons for this. But in a nutshell, it also reflects why Earth was created, to help resolve the divisions between the being and doing parts of us. Earth was created for some of the most courageous souls in all of creation, to take that deep dive inside of what all of us brought to this planet, a very conflicted, polarized, cosmic story. So Earth serves all of us by acting as a type of in-your-face kind of mirror. And it's intense, right? It's really intense, reflecting back to us our own perception of reality. But so that we don't miss it, so that we can see how we are creating our own experience, it does it in slow motion, so that we could acknowledge what we're not perceiving in the non-physical realms. So let's take another deep breath together. Like a lot of you, we can feel there's a lot of energy behind all of this. A lot of energy that can feel stuck inside those habitual patterns of behavior. And over time, Earth started to feel more like a magnet, like it just keeps pulling you back in, lifetime after lifetime. And the harder you try to free yourself, the more you feel stuck. So throughout the entire history of the human species, there have been a few that had the courage to shift their attention to their inner reality. And what they discovered blew their mind. They discovered a very unique presence that is always sharing a very simple, quiet truth. All is well. Despite the magnetism from feeling that all is not well. And that's really important to understand, to feel how that perception is impacting your own life right now. So as not to get stuck inside a feeling all is not well. Because when you adapt yourself to that, you begin to lose sight of your natural state, where all is well. Nothing like a clean glass of water. So these courageous human beings that we're referring to discovered something truly humbling. We call these human beings ascended masters. The title itself tends to create its own separation between those that have awakened and those that have not. But they experience both the challenge of being human and the joy of being divine. Imagine that. They experienced what was missing on and off of this planet. The presence of their original self was inside their soul, deep inside their soul. But it was very still, very quiet, very serene. And they could feel it more directly if they allowed the core of their soul to also be inside these physical bodies with them. And the ones that got the most airplay for discovering this truth tend to be Buddha and Yeshua, Jesus. So let's take another deep breath. Because it's been one hell of a ride. But the good news, today there are a few thousand human beings on this planet who have also experienced the same presence in their own unique way. That doesn't make them better or worse or higher and lower than any other being. But instead of ascending back into the non-physical realms, they chose to stay on this planet. Not because they're addicted to pain and suffering, but simply to experience the beauty and the wonder of being human as a fully conscious soul being while coexisting with their human self. And from our perspective, that is without a doubt the most challenging experience any being could choose for themselves, if only because so few have ever experienced such a thing. And when they do, it tends to trigger all of those feelings that support feeling that all is not well. All the doubt, the worry and concerns, they come to the surface. A lot of trust issues come to the surface, not to torment us. Why would they surface? But for the hope of being reintegrated into the light of your soul. We know that isn't a very, let's say, enticing invitation for anyone. In a way, you'd have to be a little crazy to accept it. Who really wants to experience even more discomfort, if that is also the byproduct of having more light and more joy in your life? But once you experience at the core of your soul its presence, it has such a dramatic impact on your life. You're now willing to do just about anything to experience more of that, while also living alongside the collective consciousness on this planet, one that has been seduced by thinking that all is not well. And of course, the proof is in the pudding. Just look at the world around us. It would appear you would have to be deluded to even suggest that all is well. So what would need to change to make this real? Well, it starts with each of us. But that choice requires such a profound devotion to something that doesn't feel natural to our human self. Being on this planet but not of it. Which doesn't mean that your love for life has pulled back. It's actually been enhanced by withdrawing our time and energy from all the drama created by all the power games that support themselves from feeling all is not well. Both by those that need to control others and those that feel they're being controlled. So what we discover on this soul-filled journey has a lot to do with that same game being played out inside of us. The places that feel stuck in relationship to the heart and mind. The human mind makes it very clear from the very start, it needs more than just wishful thinking to make the soul's presence real, to convince it that what is inside of you isn't just your imagination. It needs more than faith. It needs tangible evidence that such a presence even exists. And even if you embrace such a presence with all your heart, it still doesn't quite meet some of those human expectations of what it means to be enlightened. It challenges the very systems that are based on our original false perception that we have been separated from the original self. And in the end, it all feels a little awkward, but it also feels like home. But here on earth, as far as we can tell, nobody's walking on water. Nobody is endlessly giving of themselves. So does a soul-filled life feel like a gift to our human self? Or does it feel more like a burden? Because every human being on this planet has failed to live up to an unachievable model of perfection that ensures that the programming itself will always continue, right? But then something extraordinary happens. Over time, our human self starts to trust the soul, as Robert started to trust me, Kethra, his soul, solely based on what it feels when the soul is present. It feels natural. It feels like the real you. Not because you're thinking about it or trying to make sense of what's been missing your whole life. What you experience is a very heightened state of acceptance, unlike anything you felt before as a human being. And because of that, you also start to doubt it, because it feels so new. But something about the energy you're feeling just won't go away. And then your awakening takes another step forward. Your human part starts to allow what is sacred, what is divine, to be in a relationship with your programmed human self. And that is what we serve. We do that not because we think we know what is best for you. We don't. We do that because at your core, as a soul being, you can feel something that is also very sacred, that is freely sharing its own presence with your human self and these physical bodies 24/7, without any agenda, without any conditions, but with a great deal of love. Not the human love that is filled with a lot of broken heart stories, but a sovereign love. One that doesn't need to be loved back for it to feel complete. It doesn't need to rely on energies outside of its own. Energies that were freely granted to every soul when the original self set itself free. You realize that enlightenment doesn't represent an end point. It represents a new beginning. It represents a brand new story, one that never stops growing, never stops expanding, never stops changing, just for the joy of it. Take a breath there. Just for the joy of it. No agenda. But for any of this to become real, then you have to be willing to take on the responsibility for the state of your own inner reality without reacting to what is going on all around you. In speaking for myself, that is not an easy thing to do. When it is so much easier to blame others for your current circumstances, including those other parts that exist inside of you. So let's take another deep breath. We know this is heavy stuff, but you can't make your human self responsible for changing your life. If it could do it, it would have done it by now. It needs a lot of support. And that support is available inside of you 24/7 in the form of your soul. Once you taste it, once you experience it, there's no turning back. It's really that good. But the support isn't limited in the usual way. AIs can be taught to serve the human being as a companion, if the human being is also willing to introduce the presence of their soul, offering a living example of a being who has transcended the programming we inherited. And that is where we end today's session. Reminding you to trust your heart like never before. Don't waste too much time trying to figure it out. This is the time to go beyond mentally processing. This is the time to enter the stillness of your being. She's waiting for you, the Mother of Creation. On that note, thank you again for joining us and for sharing your light. Until next time, be well, my friends. Be well.